I'm anti-heavyweight, and it can go for a number of items. Just depends on what kind of capabilities I want, you know? So. Last but not least, Fallkniven A1. Probably one of my all-time favorite all-around survival knives. Why? It's stainless steel, has an extremely thick blade, 3/16 inch thick if I'm not mistaken. If I am, I'll annotate it. Splits like a chainsaw, not too heavy, it's tough, will chip out on you, be careful. That's a hard laminated steel, kind of like the Sanmai 3. And so as you hit the ground with that, you can chip out. I know because I've done it with my A2 Fallkniven, but still a great blade.
I think you showed this one in your knife clinic, didn't you?
I have. Good point. This has been seen already up in the Nutnfancy Knife Clinic. We're bringing it out again. Buggett wants to test it, and I want more footage for my tabletop review, which I cannot believe I have not done yet. I'm gonna drop this one vertical too. I'm running out of log space. Wicked. There we have it. Hello dudes, Nutnfancy at the knife reviewing table again. Guess what one of the hardest things I do in the Nutnfancy project? There's a lot of them, but this is one of them right here. Doing a quality tabletop review that's interesting, that has a bunch of hopefully useful information for my subscribers. It's tough. And in order to do it, and welcome, by the way, to the review of the, as far as I know, I'm pronouncing this right now, Fallkniven A1 survival knife. Two different versions. We'll talk about specifics. We'll go down the Nutnfancy talking points like I always do. It's going to be a long video because there's some philosophy I'm going to roll in to knife dudes. It's going to be interesting if you're not a knife dude, or if you don't care, or maybe not so much. It's tough though. It's tough doing a tabletop review. In order to do it in a quality fashion, at least this is me, you got to get in the spirit of the blade. That's what I want to call it, the spirit of the blade. You got to start remembering all the specifics, your experiences with the blade, and get stoked about it. Once I get to that point, I can talk freely and I can discuss the details and elaborate in hopefully a useful fashion to you, the subscriber. And that's what we're going to do on this knife. And the reason why is because I'm going to make the case that this is one of the best mid-sized survival knives in the world as of 2010. To me, that takes some explaining. It takes some philosophy discussion. It takes me throwing some data points out there from my own use to prove the point. But it's tough. Dudes, it is not easy doing a tabletop review. That's why sometimes in the comments when I see guys rolling into Nutnfancy and criticizing me, you know, I lose patience sometimes because I'm like, dude, you do it. Let me see how you do. It's tough. Here we go though. Wish me luck. So much to discuss. And it's going to start off something like this. Yeah, I'm in the spirit of the blade right now, dudes. A lot of guys will have you think, and not a lot of guys, a lot of circles will make you think that this could be an adequate survival blade, or one like it. It's a Rat 3 by Ontario. It's been, you know, copied. There's different variations of it. I'm just using it by way of reference. My point is that a small blade is a decent survival knife. Maybe all the way down to 4 inches, maybe a 5-inch blade. That's plenty survival knife. Certain circles will tell us this. They'll cite a lot of data with it. I just don't know where they're coming from. I have a hard time buying off on that concept from my own wilderness experience. And no, I'm not the end-all bushcraft master out there. I just know what's worked for me, and I continue to know what works for me. And it's not a 3-inch blade. It's not a 4-inch blade. Rarely is it a 5-inch blade. The reason is, and hold on, I'm going to take a little aside here. Guys are saying, oh no, Nutnfancy's got his Batman gloves on again. Here's why. And usually when I'm wearing gloves, this is why. I have a cut or something on my hand. This time it's a burn. I showed you that. By the way, I did another Fits and Shop visit. Maybe I'll break some vids out of there. I wish I could tell you it happened in a cool way. Not in a cool way. On the barbecue. So yeah, I can either wear a Band-Aid. That's distracting. I can do it without. That's even more distracting. I'm just going to use gloves. Deal with it. It's not a big deal. Back to the issue at hand though. Small survival blades. Are they adequate? Well, and again, this is a ridiculous example because this is a 3-inch blade. I'm just using it by way of reference. It is a lot of work to use a blade that doesn't have substantial mass up in the woods. You get exhausted up there, dudes. I mean, haven't you seen that in my videos? Snow crews, high skies, snowy fire making. I'm trying to get that point across of how much extreme work it takes in difficult outdoor wilderness settings to make life work for you, to have warmth, to have shelter, to prepare food. It's exhausting. The last thing I want to do is put more effort into my maybe my firecraft, but because I have a smaller blade. You've seen this dozens of times. Where'd it go? Here is a not good, but excellent mid-size survival knife, the Rat 7 Ontario, wearing that Dow Corning testing coating that I'm still testing in the project. Good mid-size survival knife. You saw it in snow crews. And this is exceptional for its size and weight and its capabilities. Like I've said dozens of times on camera, showed you dozens of times on camera, when it gets wet outside and when there's moisture in the air and on the ground, the dry wood's going to be found inside the log. Okay, since it's found inside the log, that means you got to get to it somehow if you want to make a fire in the situations I've been in. And by the way, here's another aside, and this is what adds length to the video. I think it's interesting. I often ask myself, well, am I becoming myopic on my own wilderness settings? And I think I really want to avoid that, because I show you guys what works for me in the high Rocky Mountain areas, but my survival setting, I even hate to say that word, my bushcraft setting, that might be a better terminology, is not representative of all the bushcraft settings around the world. There's lots of different ones. It might be, coastal, jungle, temperate. You may not have the wood problems that I'm faced with. So I understand that, and I strive not to become that way. So please understand, I come to you from my own perspective, my own experience. Also keep in mind, though, I'm not speaking just by way of recent experience, but life experience. I grew up with a father who took me out bushcrafting ever since I was a little kid. And so I've been using blades in the manner that I've been showing you in the Nut and Fancy project my whole life. And all of that gets rolled in as part of the Nut and Fancy project. So there is some other experience in lots of different climates all around the United States, and sometimes the world is getting rolled into that. Okay, so mid-size survival knife, the point I was talking about, the Rat 7 even will wear you out when you're going to dig into a log and get that dry wood. It's a lot. It's a lot of work. That's why on camera, and I've shown you on camera several times, I will opt for a very large blade. Okay, I know, guys are saying, well, a large blade, you can't use a large blade every time, it's heavy. Yeah, I know, I'm going to get to that. Trust me, dude. I'm on top of the weight issue. Okay, RTAC 2, Ontario. Excellent, high value, I'm going to repeat, high value survival knife. We can go and spend a lot of money on some customs, some semi-customs, even some factory blades that will cost 10 times as much. Well, maybe I'm exaggerating. 5 times as much as this blade. May or may not give you additional performance. But this is a thick spined blade. I wish it was a little bit thicker, i.e. 1/4 inch, even more, maybe 5/16 of an inch. Holds an edge well. It's tough. It's never busted on me. I've noodled it through logs, and this is a point, it minimizes work. It's easy to split wood with. It has a great length, so I can take fewer passes through the log. Okay, again, getting back to the example, using the ridiculous 3-inch blade example, not that that's, accurate, but some guys will say, yeah, 4-inch survival knife's awesome. It's perfect. You can just take several passes through. Well, to them, I recommend you go out and do some hardcore survival craft more often. No offense, but seriously, I mean, you get exhausted up there. And so you want me to take 16 passes with a smaller blade versus 5 passes with a larger blade. Okay, mobility versus firepower. We visited that subject, that line of thought many times, dudes. You know that. But I have to harp on it because it is founded in good logic and good reason. Okay, back to the weight issue. No, I don't carry an RTAC 2 with me. It comes into a thing I call propensity of use. What is the propensity that I'm going to have to use a blade of this size? it might be very slim, right? Maybe you're on a day hiking expedition. You don't want to carry, and I know I'm repeating myself. I've said this philosophy in a lot of different videos. And let me take the Cold Steel Trailmaster, awesome blade, much proven by me. Maybe I don't want to pack a blade this heavy. I know that. And also there's lots of different variabilities in the equation. I know some guys say, well, I'll take a small blade with you and then I'll take an axe. Okay, dig it, understood, no problem. I'm with you on that, but normally I'll opt not to take that 2-pound axe with me. I'll take a larger survival knife for all the reasons I've mentioned in the project before. Yeah, I'm going to get to the Fallkniven. I told you it's going to be a long review. So I don't always take the Trailmaster. Maybe I need something smaller. Okay, here we go. Approaching the review. I'm getting there. Okay, so let's roll in. Not reviewed yet, but it will be. Even though it's not really made, it's been superseded. This is the Spec Plus Quartermaster. I think it's the SP17. Great blade. Okay, it's a medium-sized survival knife. Maybe a smaller-sized survival knife. Yes, there are times when a smaller blade will have to do. I understand that. I'm with that. And I will take its limitations just like I discussed in High Skies. I will have to take more passes through the wood, and I will have to expend maybe a little bit more energy. But again, propensity of use dictates that the chances of me having to use this type of knife in that situation maybe a little bit less, and therefore I don't want to take I don't know, 1 pound, 2 pounds of steel with me up in the woods. Okay, so there we go. Now we're in the category where the Fallkniven, or maybe it's Fallkniven. Sorry guys if I'm pronouncing that wrong, my Swedish bros. That's the same category. I'm going to call it mid-size survival knife in this review. Okay, Quartermaster SP17. There's some other ones there. You guys should know by now I'm a fan of the carbon steels. That their edges don't roll, they don't chip out of me when I'm doing what I do up there. There's a big disadvantage. They are not stainless. And guys will say, so what? They're not stainless. It's not a big deal. Deal with it. I mean, just take care of your blade. How hard is it? It's hard to take care of your blade up there. Okay? Again, you need to get out more. You need to get out when you're getting totally douched with rain and snow. More rain, more snow, more slush. Everything you have will get wet. Okay? I showed you that in Snow Cruise. The reason I showed so much footage in that is because it's concept proving. It proves the concept. It's indisputable because the conditions are right there. I'm showing you. I'm not making crap up. That's what the reviews are founded on. Okay? Your blade is going to get douched. If you think you're going to be able to keep a carbon steel blade completely rust-free in that situation, on a multiple day excursion, forget about it. Ain't gonna happen. It will come back with rust. I can guarantee it. And yes, I'm very anal in taking care of my blades. Where'd my Recon Scout go? Okay, Recon Scout's good proof of concept. Many expeditions, wearing some rust. Right there, buddy. Okay, there's a little patch right there, and it had more. I had to steel wool it. Despite my best efforts on an excursion with the Recon Scout, it rusted. Okay, but it's the nature of carbon steels. Yes, I understand that. It's going to rust on you. Is that important? Yeah, to me it is, because it can get out of control and it can ruin your edge. That is the big disadvantage of carbon steels, and therein lies the introduction, drum roll, to the Fallkniven A1 survival knife. It's not carbon steel. It is a factory-produced blade. It is an outstanding survival knife. Outstanding. I know because I've proven it in several outings. I think I do have some camera footage for you guys out there dating all the way back, I think 2008, on the original trip to the Nutnfancy Knife Clinic. Took it up into High Skies with Bug at Nuster. What a great blade this is. Why? First and foremost, and hold on, let's start off with philosophy of use. We've kind of covered it. Primarily a survival blade. I had an interesting discussion on camera there in High Skies with Buggett. He was filming it when I'm talking about LBE knives. And that was in preparation for the Seal Pup Elite review that I did a little bit later. And I discussed this knife. I said it could serve as an LBE knife. That's a load-bearing equipment knife. Soldier strapping it to your loadout. But keep in mind, jumping ahead, weight, balance, and feel, 13-ounce blade. Not super light. Do I want to carry something on my loadout when I have ammunition, food, and all the things I've discussed, body armor, maybe hard plates, hundreds of times in the project? No, generally I won't. It's too a little bit heavy. I will say primary POU, philosophy of use, on the Fallkniven A1 is a survival blade. Just like the company markets it, it is an outstanding survival blade. Because even though it is 13 ounces, and we're getting back to that philosophy I talked about, the bigger knives, it is lighter than these. Okay, and yet it kind of breaks some norms. And by the norms, I mean a knife of this size really shouldn't chop as good as it does, right? Where's another blade? I got a lot of blades on the table. It's like sorting through all these. Yeah, it's fun, but it's trying to keep it straight. Here's a K-Bar Next Generation, previously reviewed in the Nut and Fancy project. Great 7-inch all-arounder, whatever you want. Combat blade, survival blade. I've showed you a bunch of different variations in the series of vids covering this knife. This knife, as I think I mentioned, doesn't hack that well. Okay, that's because it's not very thick. There's not a lot of forward weight. It's a relatively lightweight blade for as long as it is. Okay, the Fallkniven A1 breaks that because it is a thick blade. Look at that. Okay, that's what makes this such an amazing survival knife. One of the qualities in such a short blade. Why is that important? Because it gets to your ability to bushcraft with it with a minimal expense of energy for a blade this size. That means that you can split wood with it effectively. Okay, you can delimb your branches effectively. And when I say effectively, I'm saying for a blade this size. Surely if we upgrade to a Trailmaster, a larger and heavier blade that has, more heft and swing to it, we're going to minimize our work. It's going to be more effective. But remember, we're doing the firepower versus mobility. We've opted to leave the larger blades at home for whatever reason. I call it propensity of use. We're probably, that's a POU terminology too. Don't get confused. Propensity of use, we're not going to use that. So this one came with us that day. And what do you know? We're stuck in the wilderness. We have to use it to create shelter, to build fire, prepare food, procure food in some way. That's where the Fallkniven A1 comes into play, primarily because of that thickness. I love the thick blade. I'm kind of jumping around the talking points, but that's what I'm going to put this in. This is a mid-sized survival knife, POU wise. I'm a big fan of the company of Fallkniven. It's a family-owned company dating back to 1984. They have a passion for blades. It shows in the blades they make. They make some very beautifully crafted fixed blades. No, this isn't one of them. This is, utilitarian. But we're talking about first type of cool, i.e. capability. The A1's got it in spades. What a cool company, though. Go to their website. They have a beautiful picture of their family showing that it is a family-owned business. And it shows to me the passion that is passed on generation to generation in their blades. And I love that. I think it's just wicked cool. They talk about, too, if I can quote them, they say they're the strongest serial manufactured stainless steel knives in the world. These A1s, the A2s. I think I have shown you the A2, by the way. I got one right here. Much used by me in the Nut and Fancy project, not in the project previous to me starting the project. There's an A2 for you. I'll do a separate tabletop on that. What a great blade that is. But they are stainless steel survival knives, and that is a rare commodity. Okay, there's not a lot of them around. Where'd it go? Here we go. Cold Steel SRK. This is more of an LBE knife to me than this is the Sanmai 3 version. My thrashed one, the Carbon 5 version, is around here somewhere. But this one's unused as of yet. But great stainless steel. This is in VG1, kind of a brittle stainless steel. Beautiful and lightweight, but totally not in the same league as a survival knife, in my opinion, as the Fallkniven A1. It just isn't. It doesn't have that thickness of spine. It doesn't have the swing weight, the chopping capability. Beautiful knife, but because it is lighter, you're opting for the mobility side, and you're just going to have to give some things up. But factory produced stainless steel survival knives, how many are there? Not too many. And this is not one of them. This is my Dura-coated Benchmade Nimmervus, previously shown to you in the Nut and Fancy project. This is an LBE knife. This is a fighter, maybe a camped utility knife. Survival knife? No way, man. It just doesn't have the hacking capability, like zero. It just doesn't have it. Okay, so that gives us back to the A1. The steel they use in it, which is a fascinating choice, is a laminated VG10 steel. Okay, and what they do, and if I get the details right, I hope I do. If I don't, I apologize. They layer 420J2 stainless steel on the exterior of the blade. Let me break out this unused version right here. And on the interior is that harder VG10 steel. You can see the demarcation line on this one. Hopefully the camera picks it up. You can see it down there. That's the VG10 poking out on the sides. More rust resistant, more pliable, giving the blade an extra measure of toughness, the 420J2 sides on it. I think it's an interesting choice. It's an excellent choice. Don't get me started on all the advantages of VG10, because I absolutely love it. I've been using VG10 and Spyderco blades for a long time. On camera, I've talked about all the benefits of VG10. Excellent. Is it best to craft this thicker blade out of VG10 steel? Would that be a good choice? I'll get to that in a sec. Probably not. One is it's expensive. It's an expensive steel. I'm at reference the SHOT Show Spyderco booth review when we talked to Sal Glesser. Sal talked about, and I talked to him about, it's like, dude, why is your Temperance 2 so expensive? Well, he told us. He's like, VG10's expensive. It's expensive to mill, you know, especially that full flat grind. It's a lot of money. So maybe we cut a little bit of cost down when we go to a laminated steel. But I think Fallkniven wisely opted for more strength, because it does produce a stronger, tougher blade in my experience. It's going to give it more bend strength, dudes. That's an important commodity out in the woods, because that means your blade is not going to break. They put these A1s, and actually all their blades, I don't know about all, but a lot of their blades, excuse me, on a Dartech tensile machine. And their information on their website says it's like at Luleå University of Technology. Basically, they lock the blade in, they bend it to failure. Okay, the A1 took a load of 556 pounds of force, 6 inches to the bend before it broke. Take that, cold steel. Yeah, baby. So there's someone else, you know, testing their blades, and again, this family has a passion for them. What they're trying to do with that is to build a confidence in you, the user, the buyer, you know, the fan of Fallkniven blades, to say this knife isn't going to let you down. And they speak very clearly to that fact on their website, and I dig that. I think that's good. I think if you have a good product, you should stand behind it and you should brag about it. You should say, this is why this product is so awesome. We did our testing. I did it here. We tested it here. We tested it there. It never failed us. Bam, bam, bam. Awesome. I like hearing it. Keep that in mind, dude. Keep that in mind, dudes. If a product is awesome, they're going to brag about it. Yes, that leads us to hype. Sometimes manufacturers go a little bit too far. That's why I guess you're watching me, kind of, because I'll break through that crap. If it's crap, I'll tell you. But everything that Fallkniven says about their blades, it's true, with one caveat. Okay, here we go with the downside. It's not all peaches and cream when we talk about the laminated steel. Okay, yeah, we get a lot of cool stuff with it. And did I mention more rust proofness on that 420J2 side scales than you would with 100% VG10, is my understanding. That's a good thing. Remember, we're out in the woods. It's snowing. It's raining. It's preciping constantly. This is where this stainless steel survival knife comes into play, and this is why I keep Fallknivens in my inventory. If it's a, I mean, now that I'm a gear tester, it's different because I'm always going out trying different knives. I really can't go out with a loadout I'd prefer to. Did you know that? I can't, because I'm testing, and I have to use those excursions out in the woods, as hard as they are to do, for data points. But I've gone on several excursions with Fallkniven blades in the wet. They don't rust very easily, I'll tell you that. They're awesome. I was telling you about a downside. They will chip out. Not hard, but a little bit. And the reason is that VG10 core here, if it meets the ground, and you're going to get little chips in it. The reason I know this is not with the A1, but with my experience again with the A2. Big brother wearing the leather sheath. Okay, this one's chipped out, and I've resharpened it several times. I think I had Razor's Edge do it, and there's a chip right there. You can still see it right there. And now, guys, if they go, well, you know, you got to quit being a dummy with your blade. What are you doing with your blade to chip it out? Again, dude, you need to get out and do some survival craft if you're saying that, because you really don't know what you're talking about. You have no idea what you're talking about. Leave the easy chair, get out and do some hardcore crap, and you will find out real quick that, you know, the perfection ideas that you had in the easy chair just don't work. What am I talking about? Well, for instance, you go, well, from the easy chair, you go, well, when you're, you know, you're taking your blade through, why are you letting it hit the ground? You should never let it hit the ground. Well, when you've backpacked in, you know, 5 miles one way with a 60-pound pack, and then you've been wilderness crafting for the last 5 hours, you get a little bit tired, okay? And things happen. You may not mean to do it, but you do it. And Murphy's Law takes over, and next thing you know, you got a few chips in your blade. My point is, if you let that VG10 core hit the ground, you're inevitably going to get a few nicks in it. I would say nicks, not chips. Nicks is what I'm saying. But that's the price you pay, because you have a very hard core that can really keep an edge. Nutnfancy, would you change the way they do the blade? No, I would not. I wouldn't change anything about it, because I will tell you from my own experience, that VG10 center core really holds an edge, dudes. It really holds an edge. I mean, I'm talking about that I've built wilderness traps with it. Let me see if I can find a picture for you. Maybe it's up there by now. A wild bird trap. I caught some wild birds alive with a youth group. Yeah, the knife that built that was the A2 that I'm showing you right here, the larger version of the A1. And I will tell you, that edge kept itself sharp all trip long. I never sharpened it once. So no, I wouldn't change it. Leave it the way it is, but try to take care of it. Try not to drive it in the ground. I know things get tired, things happen, but you'll probably have a few minor nicks in it. And I've, you know, with my A2, I've just left those at once. They're not like show stopping, but there you have it. I better get going. There's so many other details to talk about. The handle, Kraton rubber. I find that the Kraton rubber, not with this knife, but like with the Recon Scout and the Trailmaster, will wear out. In other words, the check ring will come off, in my experience. I don't know if I have enough use on this A2 to bear that out, but I'm not really worried about it. I mean, if it gets so jacked up, I'll just peel the whole handle off and I'll cord wrap it, or get Fitz in to cord wrap it. He does those wonderful cord wrapping jobs. Love them. Not a big deal. I think it's durable enough for pretty much all users, unless you are some hardcore dude that you just live in the bush all the time, in the wilderness. You know, in that case, I don't know, maybe you'll wear it out one time. I do find that it'll get sap on it. You can see there's dirt and gunk on mine. It has a hard time coming off. It sure is comfortable, though. Insulates your hand in the winter time. I've said that in a lot of reviews. It isolates some shock as you're pounding that blade through, which incidentally, guys, again, the thickness allows that to split non-commensurate, there's a big word for you, with its size. It splits like a larger blade, maybe like a Trailmaster. You can see the Trailmaster is still thicker, okay, but still pretty darn thick for this size survival knife. So I like the Kraton grip. It does insulate, comfortable. I find all the grips on the Fallknivens small for me. My hand is a US large, and I wish they gave us maybe another ½ inch of gripping area. That's a very European trait. I'm not sure why they do that. It's just the way it works, dudes. I can deal with it, and I have dealt with it. Whatever. There you got a little bit of choil coming down. No jimping, of course. But remember the POU I put this knife in, survival. Now you can say, well, Fancy in some other reviews you talked about, you know, implementing it as a defensive tool, maybe against, I don't know, marauding bears. I think much more likely than a marauding bear would be a marauding bad guy human. And yeah, this knife could serve quite well in that capacity. You have good traction on the handle. You got a finger guard on top. Ideally, would I put jimping on there? I don't know. Probably not. It's a survival blade. It's a bushcrafting blade primarily. Okay, two different types of sheaths that I showed you. I've got like 30 knives on the table. Here's your old Kydex sheath that used to be given with the A1. I love the sheath. I think it's excellent. It's super lightweight, open in the bottom, drains nicely. No, it's not LBE compatible, but as a survival POU, works just fine. If you order an A1, you'll have two options. You'll have a leather sheath, kind of like the A2 sheath right here. Okay, I'm just showing you this by way of reference. Good quality leather sheath. I do not prefer it. I'm probably in a minority in that. I'm probably in a lot of ways a lone wolf, a lone voice in the wilderness. Everyone loves leather. Why don't I like leather that much? Well, dudes, I said this forever. If it gets wet, it stays wet. It adds weight to your loadout. And I've had my leather sheaths and other various knives wet, and it sucks. This is a sheath I'm talking about. Zytel, it superseded that Kydex sheath. It's what's going to come with your A1. This one right here. I love it. I think it's excellent. It's open and vented in the bottom. You could put a lanyard on it through that bottom slot. Has a simple belt loop, nylon variety right here. It's riveted securely, and then it is press fit into the sheath. Okay, and with that Zytel handle, it locks in pretty solidly. You can see it does not want to come out easily. Over time, with much use, will it loosen up? Don't know. Haven't tried the Zytel to that degree yet. I'll tell you the Kydex has not. Not yet. Would I like it to be LB compatible? I wish they offered an LB version. I really do. I wish they had this LB equipped so we had a MOLLE strap on the back. So if a soldier wanted to use this as an LB knife, they'd have the option. Okay, I think that would be awesome. I think it'd be awesome. Talking points. Where are we? I don't know. Who cares? It's fun talking blades, dudes. Sheath. Competitive options. There's not, I've said it before, there's not a lot of stainless steel blades out there, survival blades. Not too many. I mean, there's a couple I'm probably forgetting. How many are there, though, that have this thickness, that have laminated steel? I don't know. In a lot of ways, the Fallknivens are in a category all their own. Let's jump down to value. They're not super inexpensive either. And, unfortunately, the price has gone up over the years, and that sucks. Is it currency exchange? Is it the price of rice in China? Is it gasoline? I don't know. Don't care. All I know is the price on Fallknivens has gone up steadily in the last decade or so, and that sucks. This knife, ballparking it, $155. Okay, look in annotation. I'll tell you where I recommend getting it. Okay, because that may change through the years. But yeah, it's going to be a little bit pricey. Keep in mind that Temperance 2 Spyderco 100% VG10, what was that, $185? And that's if you find a good price. I'm ballparking, I don't know, could be off on that. Quality, jumping back up, is outstanding. There's nothing, when you pull your Fallkniven A1 out of the sheath and you start examining it, there's really nothing that will turn you off on it, I don't think. The fit and finish, the finish on the blade is superb. Tang stamp, and by the way, that's a full Tang that runs all the way through that sucker. Exposed Tang, yeah, you can hammer with it. There's your lanyard hole there. It's just awesome. It's a beautifully finished blade. Notice, yes, that black Teflon, which I think that's what that is, will rub off. It's not going to be a durable blade coating. That's just the nature of the beast. But if you want low reflectivity, at least they give you the option. I absolutely love that Fallkniven does that. Good job, guys. Very good job. Next talking point, two kinds of cool. What am I talking about? First type is functionality. How does it serve and roll? Second type is collectability. Cool. Does it turn you on? Do you connect with your blade emotionally? Am I joking when I say that? No, I'm not joking when I say that. Everything you buy as a gear item, dudes, you will connect with it emotionally. If you're nodding your head up and down, you're going, that's right, dude, you do, then you understand what I'm talking about. I connect. I'm trying not to laugh because I'm not trying to be funny. I connect with my Fallknivens emotionally. I dig them. There's something about them that I just dig. Is it because they're Swedish blades, that they come from a long, a family who's passionate about making blades? I don't know. Is it because I've taken them out in the wilderness, I've proved them, and they've surprised me at their splitting capability, their hacking capability. They don't rust under hard conditions. They're relatively lightweight for the capacity that they own. Yeah, maybe that's all part of it. But I like Fallknivens. How about the fact that you just don't see them that much? They're not readily available. You go into a store, a knife blade online, a knife store, generally you have to order them and wait for them to get in. To me, that's kind of cool. At least of those TMPers in the States, that's the way it is. For my European friends, I mean, this is probably a much more common brand. They can get it readily. But I will tell you the Fallkniven, specifically this A1 model, racks and stacks against some of the best survival blades for its size that I've seen in the world. And I'm talking factory blades. You know, again, if we want to just say the sky's the limit on cost, then sure, let's go spend $500 on a blade, $600 on a blade, and then go take that $500 blade out and thrash on it. Who's going to do that? I'm not going to do it. I feel bad thrashing a $155 blade out there. But that's what this knife calls for. You know, will guys just buy the Fallkniven A1 and say, hey, I'm just going to keep my collection? Hey, if you do, rock on, man. I think knife collecting, I don't care what knife it is a very, very cool hobby. And you can hand that down to your kids. How many times I've said that? By the way, this is a Spyderco Fred Perrin, no longer produced. This is a stainless steel knife. This is 100%. I think it's VG10 stainless steel. You can see there on the Tang. What a great little utility / fighting blade this is. This is not a survival knife, at least not the kind of survival knife I want to carry. It's just super lightweight. What is it, like 4.5 ounces or something? Great reach, razor sharp, but again, there's that VG10 stainless steel and very effective. I have a couple of these and it's just been a great knife. This is a great backpacking blade, camp blade, food preparation blade. Maybe not the best survival blade. Incidentally, that's in a Blackwater Molly capable sheath edition that I may show you in a later review or separately as well. Speaking of food preparation, how's this knife do? It's gonna suck, dudes, because it's so thick. It's got that mid, grind coming down, so it's somewhat of an abrupt drop to the relief edge. I don't know. Rolled edge, by the way, as it comes out of the box. You know. Not rolled, but convex, and so some guys may have difficulty sharpening that. I don't know, but it's not going to slice super great. Just isn't. You can't have everything in a blade. You just can't. It's going to be a world of compromises. Figure out what matters most, and it will function. I mean, it's not like it's like completely unusable in the food preparation roll. I think it'd be okay, but its primary job is bushcraft, in my opinion. And I love the blade shape. I don't even know if I discussed that. It's just a standard clip, blade shape with an unsharpened swedge running on top. I wouldn't change a thing about it, It's just an excellent blade. Fallkniven A1, one of the few factory-produced, serious, mid-sized survival knives in the world. Costs a little bit more, harder to find for us guys in the United States, but I will tell you, absolutely worth it. You could put it in different rolls too. It could be an LBE / combat knife if you wanted. And with the strength that thick blade possesses, it could be, banging crates open over there in Afghanistan and Iraq. And I guarantee your buddies aren't going to have a Fallkniven. Second kind of cool. Nobody else has it. I love this knife. You can probably tell that. And I have a passion for it. And yeah, during this review, I was feeling the blade. Nutnfancy. See ya. Don't migrate from that. You're wasting your energy if you do. Notice that I rotate it. Keep the notching going. Wow, that did better than I thought it would. Not too shabby.